My name is Iderbat. I'm 27. I am here. I'm running a small advisory firm focusing on 3-4 clients. We try to make a tangible difference with them, try to help them develop their business, develop their expertise, know-how, and then make a profit from that. Basically create a win-win situation with my clients. That's what I do. My perspective on change comes from being 20 years abroad. Basically, I'm what you would call a repat. I was born in Mongolia. I left when I was 6. I came back when I was 23. When I came back here for the first time, I got a very rough picture of what's going on. People were having trouble, and in the news cycle, everything was negative. Then I went back to Germany. In 2009 I came back actually, and then I decided to stay for good. In 2009 the economy was not doing too well. Two banks had just collapsed, and political issues, but the OT agreement was signed. So that helped Mongolia to really skyrocket. So the one thing that I see is a lot of traffic jams, real estate prices going up, people becoming more hectic because of business activity, and it's becoming a really busy boom town in my opinion. And I mean, it's starting at the very low base, but you see the exponential, really high growth. That's what I see. And, everything is growing at a tremendous pace. There's one strong link to the global economy at this point in time. The one link is commodities exports. It used to be commodities in the sense of wheat way back in the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of agricultural stuff going on in the meat in Kashmir before the socialist system collapsed. After that collapse, there was basically no exports driver except Kashmir. Now it's turning, and then in the early 90s, end 90s was gold and concentrated commodities such as copper. And then now it's becoming more coal, iron ore, and more commodities coming online. And also rare earths is a big thing, but no exports at this point in time. So the one strong connection that Mongolia has to the global economy, in my opinion, is the commodity sector. So the interlink between Mongolia and the global economy is growing from commodities now to the financial sector, and more so in the real estate sector. It's continuing. You can see it day by day. I mean, if you're a mining company, you're interested in the assets underground, and you try to dig it up, you try to ship it, you try to make the highest profit at the lowest risk. I mean, investing in Mongolia is quite risky. First of all, because of the lack of political leadership, in a sense, or political sensibility. But if you pour $1 billion into a country, you put a lot of faith into whoever is in the country, politically, socially, human resource-wise. So in Mongolia, what's taking place is you have capital concentration in just one sector. But capital concentration is always good, in my opinion. And capital concentration is always needed to go forward. In New York, you have it in the financial sector. In Silicon Valley, you have it in the technology sector, and it goes on and on and on. You know, you need these growth sectors for something to develop, something to grow out. I mean, it's like spraying water all over your garden. Everything's going to grow, but if you concentrate it specifically on one area, it's going to blossom and green, and then the seeds will sprout into somewhere else. So that's what's going on in Mongolia. People should be really happy for companies like Rio Tinto to be spilling in $6-7 billion of dollars. That's a lot of money. And then basically they create this hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue flow, in which people like me and everybody else is participating. But it's a slow and steady process. You don't wake up and you have this income, but you feel you work hard and then you deserve it. But actually, it's kind of the macro situation which you're in that allows you to prosper. And the situation has been created by this massive capital concentration. So being exploitative, of course, they're gonna destroy nature down there in South Gobi and dig out all this stuff. But again, in California, this big gold rush, same thing. You know, you drove out the Indians, you shot all the buffalo, and then you went into the gold rush, and it was not good for the nature. And the chemicals and all these things used there were not good. But you attracted people, you attracted know-how, you forced people into a desert or a barren area, and then there's an economy growing in there, and people stayed there. And then you had Chinese coming in, you had the railway, so there's a lot of positive unintended consequences which should not be discounted just by saying it's exploiting the country, it's exploiting the people, and it's exploiting the nature. I don't think you should count on that, because that's the way to prosperity and that's the way to development. In my opinion, I'm quite private sector oriented. You're a company, you have shareholders, your first responsibility is towards your shareholders, and that's making a profit, the highest profit that you can make. And if I say legally, it has a negative connotation, but that's what you're obliged to do. And the government has to set a legal framework for them to do so. And if they allow mining companies to not basically do well for the local communities and so forth, it's their own demise. From a corporate citizen perspective, they have to. They are basically a foreign entity digging the ground of Mongolia, extracting these commodities and making a huge profit. They pay a quite low tax rate. I mean, there's corporate tax 10 to 25%. But Rio Tinto has to open up a lot of hospitals, a lot of schools. They donate a lot of money. They support the sports and youth development here in Mongolia. So there's a huge pressure from the Mongolian citizenship to, and this makes Rio Tinto, Ivanhoe Mines, and all these big miners being good model citizens. For example, the largest gold miner here, Centauro Gold, is building the largest hospital here in Mongolia. And that is solely because of risk management. You need to do these things in Mongolia to have smooth operations. It's populist driven, forcing these companies to be model citizens, and most of them try to do that. I mean, every company would love to do just their business. Few companies would like to hurt their bottom line with donating to hospitals and so forth, because in a return on investment, return on equity sense, it doesn't make any sense. But it makes sense from a perspective that it allows you to run operations smoothly. So basically, it's a business requirement. It's another tax, so to speak. So they have to do it. If you are a nomad, you're born 1960s, you're a nomad, all you have learned is taking care of animals, husbandry, and then basically opportunity calls in Ulaanbaatar. You come to the city of Ulaanbaatar and you look for employment, and this one expertise you have is there's so many who can do the same thing as you can. So basically there's no advantage that you have over somebody else. You can't basically make a living off that. If you sold all your, or lost all your animals, and you come to the city and the one thing you can do is take care of your animals, you will not find a job. So what this leaves you is with a very desperate, sad lifestyle, in my opinion. Because you don't have skills that this new economy needs. You need true skills, welding, construction, engineering, all these things, these expertise things which need a lot of time and study. You don't have all that. So you are forced into a desperate being, and one thing that you are left with is your citizenship. And then the one thing you have is, just like in other countries, as in Greece right now, where people are being stripped from the opportunity, or in Spain, where you have youth unemployment of over 50%, the one thing that is left is your voice and is your national citizenship. Politicians play it, mining companies play them. They're being pawns in a big chess game. It's a very opportunistic answer that I have to give you. I spent 20 years in Germany, so there's a lot. My parents spent a lot of money on my education, giving me exposure to the international world, and basically all this investment into my education is my capital. I don't have a lot of money in my bank account, but there's considerably more investment into me in my intellectual capital than any Mongolian that you see on the streets. So basically, I'm the 1% based on education. So I come here and I use this advantage. So there's an arbitrage trade going on with me, and I use the opportunities that are being given to me. I feel a deep obligation to whoever put me in this place. I feel a deep obligation to people who put me through school, through university, that took me to foreign countries. And then I also feel an obligation for people who are my clients. who make use of whatever I have to offer, and I'll always try to give my best to them. Do I feel an obligation to my neighbor who's living next door, whom I've never talked to? I don't think so. I mean, it's a very isolationist perspective that I have. I mean, it's me, myself, and I, and then the immediate core around me. I have basically this capital behind me. It's my knowledge, it's my expertise, it's my international network, and I make sure that family members of mine have some benefit from them. So basically, I run a mentorship program with 2 of my cousins. I help my father, I help my mother, I help them all with my expertise, my contacts, and whenever I have the possibility to increase their incomes or basically their business pipeline, I do so. Because I feel a deep obligation to them, because they allow me to operate here. Because they're family, but to anybody, random guy on the street, no, I don't think so. The inequality which needs to be there for people to choose. So inequality goes in one way. It says the one guy is less intelligent than the other, so you choose the more smart person to do your job for you. Inequality goes for restaurants. The one restaurant is filthy and has bad service, so it's unequal to the one guy that has good management, because he has an incentive to. Because people come to the restaurant and pay money. In socialist systems, you didn't have that. So we are being liberated. We can do these things. We can distinguish ourselves. We can excel. And everybody's happy that socialism is gone. It has allowed people to become who they should be. Lazy or successful, rich or poor, that's just an interpretation of your freedom. And I think it's good. It's good.